It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Unless you're a Broncos fan, because they suck.
Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I can't even do this with a straight face. This is the best sports podcast on the planet, Call to the Bullpen, and I am one of your three hosts, Austin Keeney.
I'm Chase B.
And I'm Jared Silberkleit. Welcome back, Mr. Keeney.
Thank you. Took a week and a half long hiatus here, had a little bit of stuff to do and get finished up, and I am back and ready to rock.
Boom. We're ready to go. We got 1 week left in the regular season. Where did the season go? We have 1 week to go. The playoff picture is rounding into form. We still don't know how any of the AFC teams are going to finish at this point. But we're here to recap all the action of Week 16 as we inch closer and closer to January. And we kicked things off on not Thursday, but Saturday night with a doubleheader. First up, we had the Titans beating the Redskins 25-16. What this score doesn't reflect is the fact that the Redskins were actually winning throughout most of this game and held a slim lead late into the third quarter before, as expected, the wheels fell off.
You know what the score reflects? The score reflects that the Titans are still obnoxious because the Redskins suck and they barely beat the Redskins. The Titans are so on and off, hot and cold, 500, mediocre. They're annoying. How long have we been saying it for? 17 weeks.
I said it since week one.
Literally. They're just, it's like one game they'll win by 47 points, and the next they barely beat a ninth string quarterback for the Redskins.
It is
why?
Annoying. It's very annoying. It's really annoying to me that the AFC playoff picture is so crowded with a lot of talented teams. You've got the Ravens, who we'll talk about them in a bit, but they've got a really exciting quality about them with their running game and their defense. You've got the Colts, who aren't a perfect team, but they have a bona fide stud quarterback, Andrew Luck. The Steelers, they're probably going to miss the playoffs, and they've got loads of talent on the offensive side of the football. And then you've got the Titans, who are just kind of there. Some weeks they play good defense, some weeks they don't. Some weeks they run the ball, sometimes they don't. Some weeks Marcus Mariota shows up, sometimes he doesn't, or he gets hurt half the time this year. And yet here they find themselves going into week 17 with a win and they're in situation. They've got just as good a chance as all those teams I just mentioned, if not slightly better. And that's annoying because to me, it's like if you're not a fan of a particular team and you're just looking at the playoff picture, and you want to see the most talented teams duking it out in January, the Titans are at the bottom of that list. I feel like if you have the casual fan mentality toward this team, like you're indifferent toward them, you don't want them in the playoffs because they just don't represent the best of the league.
I don't want them in the playoffs because they're freaking annoying. It's either they're going to win the Super Bowl or they're out in a week because there's just no predictability to the Titans. Literally none.
I don't think the Titans really scare anybody, though. They get the 6th seed, I think, if they win, and I don't really think that the Patriots or even the Texans are really going to be worried about this Titans team. I know they had an upset in Kansas City last year, but we all know about Kansas City's failures in the division games, so I'm not really I don't know. They're annoying. They might make the playoffs. They're probably worse than the Colts. I think if the Colts make the playoffs, they actually have a chance to make a run to the Super Bowl in a weak AFC compared to the NFC. But yeah, the Titans, they don't really do it for me. I don't think they're really anything special.
I agree. But yeah, and the fact that they barely squeaked by the Redskins is more evidence of that because they had all the motivation here. Granted, the Redskins were motivated, but we know that they don't have the talent to compete here in the second half of the season, and although they've been mathematically in it until this loss, we all knew several weeks ago when they suffered all those injuries that this season was a wash. So the Titans picked up the win. Derrick Henry is picking up some steam, running the ball. He's put up now 3 pretty big games in a row, and the biggest thing, though, for the Titans is the fact that Mariota might miss that Week 17 game against the Colts, and if they have to start Blaine Gabbert in what is essentially a playoff game. It's the Titans versus the Colts, and unless the game ends in a tie, it's for the 6th seed. So that, that's not a game that you want to be starting Blaine Gabbert in.
Didn't Blaine Gabbert play in this last game, or was that 2 weeks ago?
No, he played in this. Yeah, he came in for Mariota, yeah.
So, He didn't lose the game.
No, actually, he led them back to
Yeah.
2 touchdowns in order to win.
I mean,
Easy,
honestly,
easy.
granted that could have
Redskins.
been just a fluke situation. He held himself there.
The Titans are going to win running the ball. They're not going to win on the back of Mariota. They're going to win on the back of Derrick Henry. So
well, true, but you want someone who could at least
have
do
150 pounds in Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
So
you want somebody out there who
more
can do something
Correct.
throwing it though, not Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, they'll be fine. I still think the Colts are going to win, even if Mariota was there.
I would agree with that. As for this game, we Chase, you and I, we both took the Titans in this game, and the house had the Redskins. So we were right, and the coin was wrong.
that stupid house. It wasn't even my house this time, and it was still wrong. So maybe it's not my coin. Clearly,
Hashtag not my quarter.
That's right.
So, Titans won that one 25-16. By the way, it was really 19-16, and they put it away with a late score literally as the game ended. So it was a bit tighter than that would indicate. Next up, we had the Saturday night primetime game. Ravens 22, Chargers 10. Game took place in Los Angeles. And I got to say here, I have not been anti-Baltimore this year. I don't think that I've been anti-Ravens at any point, but this was the game that really sold me on this new look Ravens team with Lamar Jackson, because they, just due to the way the schedule has kind of played out, they, during this resurgence, haven't played the best competition, I think, over the last few weeks. And this was the big test, going up against one of the best teams in the AFC, if not all of football, and they put forth, I'm going to say, a Super Bowl-worthy defensive performance. This was such an impressive showing by them. They pressured Phillip Rivers. They forced turnovers. They capitalized on those turnovers. Lamar Jackson, when called upon, made plays through the air for once, after everybody knows how great the Ravens offense has been with the ground game since they've named him the starter. But they just showed such an extra dimension of their football team in this game, and they showed a lot of grit. And to me, this was a game that stuck out to me like this is the defense to beat in the postseason. And if they get in the playoffs, which all they have to do now is beat the Browns and they win the division, they get a home playoff game in Baltimore in the cold weather in January, they're going to be a really, really tough out.
So the question here is, does this prove Joe Flacco's a fluke?
That's what you have to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because look at the Ravens with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, without Flacco.
Look at them without Flacco. Do you think they would be where they are if Joe Flacco was still the quarterback of this team? What's it been, 6 weeks now?
Yeah,
because Lamar Jackson's 5-1 in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, definitely not.
Which makes them at this point, a 9-6 team. I mean, that's 5-1 with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no, I think you're
so
right.
They were 4-5 with.
I think
Joe
Flacco. Flacco is not the fit for the Ravens anymore. I think what they've got on the ground is really what they're running the ball, and they have a good defense. Like, that's how they're winning. They're not winning through Joe Flacco ever. They haven't won through Joe Flacco in like 5 years, maybe longer, 8 years.
All right, so I'm glad everybody argued and told me I was wrong, and here we are.
It's true,
Jared.
You could do your little victory lap, I guess.
Foot, meat, mouth.
Well, hey, nobody knew how good Lamar Jackson was going to be pretty much almost immediately. I mean, there are rookie quarterbacks who go through entire full seasons with teams who don't have this kind of success. And Lamar Jackson, for him to come in mid-season, for them to just suddenly make this quarterback change when Flacco went down with a minor injury and stake his claim as the starter, I mean, he's been sensational. What can you say? He's been
sensational with his feet, not with his arm.
No, but here, I mean, he did enough through the air.
But as a leader under center, he's been winning football games.
I definitely think it helps having a top,
of course,
defense. Yeah.
Well, Chase, I think you summarized it great. Like, he's changed the way the Ravens offense operates. And no, that doesn't necessarily make him an elite passer by any means. He's, not, obviously he hasn't proven himself to be at that level throwing the ball. But his ability to make plays with his feet, it just changes the entire way that this offense runs. With Joe Flacco, they were just kind of, an average offense with a quarterback who has an arm that can sometimes make plays, but now the entire dynamic has changed. They're a completely multi-dimensional threat with Lamar here. And I mean, he connected on that big that big touchdown pass. Pretty much, and that was a big comeback score for the Ravens right after they let up the lead pretty early in the third quarter, and then he connected with that. I think it was like a 70-yarder to the tight end. So that was a big moment for him. And yeah, Ravens look great right now.
I'm also going to say that I think the Chargers are a tad bit overrated recently. They're a good team, don't get me wrong, but I think everybody kind of jumped on the Chargers bandwagon once they beat the Chiefs and the Steelers. And as we can see, the Steelers are about to miss the playoffs, and the Chiefs might actually get a wild card spot. So how good are these two wins actually? Sure, they're good, but I don't think they're – I think they're probably rated behind the Saints, the Rams, the Bears. I know these are all NFC teams, but I would take all these teams over the Chargers.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
And I couldn't agree more. I mean, listen, the Chargers still put up an 11-4 record this year so far going into next week. They're not a bad team. They're not making the playoffs at 9-6. They still put up, or even like an 8-7. You know what I mean? They still put up a very good record this year, and I think they impressed people, like you said, in certain games. However, those certain games may prove to not have been as impressive as people think, for exactly what you said. I mean, the Chiefs look like dog shit right now.
Yeah, they can't. They're not the same team without Kareem Hunt.
Correct.
They're not.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
that is the most.
Well, I mean, listen,
that's the change.
What's
that
his name?
changed.
Damian Williams or whatever his name is, Damian whatever. He's been stepping up and he's been playing decently in Spencer Ware's absence. And Spencer Ware, for the half a game or even full game that he played, didn't do terrible. But yes, Kareem Hunt. There's not a lot of Kareem Hunts out there. I mean, thankfully, if you look at the other side of the coin. But as running backs, there's not a lot of Kareem Hunts out there, and they are definitely lacking on offense. I don't even think it's really an offense thing. It's been the defense thing the entire year. We've been talking about how
they got Eric Berry back, and it doesn't seem to make a difference.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be elite star back there.
It's one dude.
I don't know,
and he's not a Khalil Mack. Whatever.
I'm afraid the Chiefs are going to pull their classic Chiefs and lose in the first round at home.
We're gonna get to
this
that.
Great season. What happened to it? It's just like what a waste.
I mean, listen. Let's do this. Let's hold this for. We'll table it. We're on the Ravens here. However, to get back to the Chargers, they, like I said, they're impressive in certain aspects this year, but they've definitely fallen short in others. I think their defense looked a lot better earlier in the season, and now it's kind of lacking. There's been a lot of penalties on them, even like Joey Bosa, who's an elite defensive player. Every game he seems to be getting 4, 5, 6. Offsides or encroachments or roughing the.
He's trying to jump the snap.
They did
too much.
They did not to cut you off, but they did commit a lot of penalties in this game. So and they did against the Chiefs as well. They got flagged a bunch. So I think the Chargers. My assessment of them is this: This isn't a game that like completely alters my opinion of them. I think that they've proven this year that they deserve to be in that class of top 10. Maybe fringe top 5 in the league. They are certainly among they're among the better teams.
Top 5?
No, I said fringe top 5. That means like
right.
6.
Okay, so top 7.
So top 10.
Yeah.
We'll say top 10.
No,
top 5 now.
No, they're top. Well, think about it. Who are you going to put ahead of them? You're going to put the Chiefs. You're going to put the Rams, the Saints, the Bears. And then from there, that's when like it gets a little like you could argue one way or the other. Like the Patriots, maybe
Texans, the Patriots, the Ravens who just beat them.
The Texans are a maybe. The Ravens are now they're in that discussion now because they beat them. But yeah, you see what I mean? Like those teams aren't like you can't say without a shadow of a doubt they're better than the Chargers. You see them at that level, and then when you get into the weeds, you can kind of arrange at that point. But my point is they are in the discussion. They're at the point where they should they're among those teams, but you can't say without a shadow of that like they're the class of the AFC, that they're the team to beat. They're not quite that good.
I hate to say it, if anything, if this last week has shown me anything, and I know we're getting way ahead of it because we got a ton of games left to talk about. If this last week has shown me anything, it's that the Patriots could absolutely win the AFC still.
Unfortunately, you're right, especially considering that now with the Texans losing, they're in a situation where they're probably going to clinch a bye, and nobody wants to go to Foxborough.
Exactly. So
It's
it's the same old song and dance. It's what it's turning out to be because these superpower teams that we talk about all year are blowing it down the stretch.
yeah, it's I'm gonna be so bummed out if the Patriots make the Super Bowl again, but unfortunately they might be in a favorable position to do so. So yeah, that will just be the team has played so badly this year.
Yeah, but the AFC's weak. The AFC's always been weak, and we thought we had a good AFC this year, and then all of a sudden it's like, what happened?
Yeah, it's I mean because all those teams
And it's gone.
Yeah.
all the teams they all seem to be losing their momentum as we get into the home stretch. But I mean the Patriots don't look great either, so they could always choke. We'll see. I mean
Yeah.
they really
All right.
yeah.
Moving
Yeah, we
on.
gotta move
Chase
on.
had the Chargers, Jared had the Chargers, and the stupid house had the Ravens, and the stupid house won. Jaguars, Dolphins, Jared, please don't go on too long of a rant, but fire away because you were at this game.
It's okay. It's okay. I was at this game, so I'm probably the most qualified to talk about it. But there ain't much to say here.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, neither of us gave a living crap about this
all
game.
right, there-
so.
All the board games on. Yeah.
So listen, okay. So this game, it seemed like it was going to be exciting early on because the Dolphins actually there was a really great screen on the opening drive that led to the Dolphins getting a touchdown within the first few minutes of the game, and you thought, hot damn, they're motivated. They need to win this game to stay alive. Maybe they're going to dominate the Jaguars, and the Jaguars came back and tied it up. Thought, this might actually turn out to be a good little game. From that point on, it was knotted at 7-7 until midway through the fourth quarter. And let me tell you, if it wasn't for penalties, neither of these teams would have been moving the ball at all. This was a chore to watch. Just dreadful offensive football, very uncreative play calling from both sides. I will give the Dolphins defense some credit because they were able to stop Leonard Fournette and certainly pressure the passer because they actually got Blake Bortles involved in this game, so he might start for the Jaguars in Week 17. But this game was just ugly. It was boring. It was stupid. Tannehill threw a pick six in the fourth quarter. That I've said too much already. The game stunk, everybody.
Yep, pretty much. And that's all we're going to talk about that one because that game sucked. Chase, Jared, and the house all had the Dolphins. Chase, Jared, and the house all lost. Eagles, Texans. This was a good game. And it sucks because the Texans lost, and I hate the Eagles, and I really don't want the Eagles to win anything. And they look like they're going to make the playoffs and play very well in it.
I'm looking forward to talking about the scenarios with the Eagles and the Vikings next when we do our preview episode. As for this game, I'm going to be annoyed if the Eagles get in, just because, yes, the offense is totally rejuvenated under Nick Foles, but the secondary is such a sieve. They still have all those injuries on defense, and they can't stop a nosebleed. That's why it's annoying that they're winning these games, because their defense is so bad. But I can't deny that their offense seems to be really revitalized with Nick Foles, and now they're starting to feel it again. It's getting closer to January. The Eagles think that they've got a chance to make a playoff run and defend their Super Bowl crown. And the offense, it looks the best that it has looked all season. And now you're facing a legitimate quarterback dilemma if you get in January, because this isn't like last year where Carson Wentz has this definite season-ending injury. He would be ready to go in the playoffs. So who do you start?
How hilarious. All right, so I was talking to my buddies about this at work. How hilarious would it be if Nick Foles leads this team to the Super Bowl, which I will say I do not think is going to happen. They do not have the same team as they did last year. But if Nick Foles leads their team to the Super Bowl, the Eagles, they gotta just go with Foles, don't they?
Didn't I say this a couple of weeks back?
You said something like this, yeah.
Because I remember Wentz went out with his injury originally. Nick Foles came in and either played really well and won or something along those lines. And I can go back, but we're talking like a month ago. So my memory is not that good. However, I remember specifically asking you guys, do you bench Wentz and stick with Foles? And, both of you disagreed and said absolutely not. Carson Wentz is the franchise quarterback. Carson Wentz is the starter. Nick Foles, whatever, he came in and played well. And here we are, where the Eagles were absolute dog shit the entire season. Everyone was laughing at them. They're never going to make it. They're never going to do this. Nick Foles comes in and is right now playing the hero a second time.
Well, the crazy part about it is I'm not even talking about benching. I'm talking about getting rid of Wentz entirely for draft picks on the dollar.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about benching, but either way, we'll agree with the sticking with Nick Foles storyline kind of thing, regardless of what they would do with Wentz. I mean, I literally said it a month ago, and here we are.
I think you have to. Like if he does, even if he brings you to the NFC Championship, I think you have to. I mean,
this team looked like shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
looked like shit.
You saw pretty much a near full season under Wentz, a healthy Wentz, and I know there's some tabloids out there saying that he wasn't actually healthy, and I think that's bullshit. He just played like shit. And I think as a coach, as Doug Peterson, maybe Foles just fits your offense better.
It's hard, man, because they started the season with Foles. We saw how bad he looked in September, and we've seen full seasons with Nick Foles in the past. I mean, we can't just act like these Cinderella runs are indicative of how he's been his whole career, and he's still, he doesn't. Time is not entirely.
We haven't seen anything. I mean, besides. Go ahead.
Let me jump in for a second. In Chase is more talking about if he brings them to the championship and or the Super Bowl, not just like right now. Because yes, I understand he won a couple games. That could be coincidence. However, if he then wins this coming week, then 2 or 3 more games in a row in the playoffs, then brings them to a Super Bowl, in whether he wins or loses, that's not just miracle runs, that's lightning striking twice in the same place. And is it coincidence, or is he good when he gets a couple starts with a team that has a little confidence behind him? Maybe they sat down and said, listen, we did this once before, can we do it again? And here we are. But right now, lightning is striking twice in the same exact freaking place. I don't know, man. That to me, and I'm not saying Nick Foles is the greatest quarterback of all time or under the sun or in the NFL, but clearly he's doing something well, and he's doing it well twice in a row.
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, you can't deny that he's had, I mean, come on, that playoff run, you can't take that away from him. And if he were to accomplish something similar this year, you also would not be able to take that away from him. But this is still a guy who, throughout his career, as far as playing time goes, this guy's never started more than 10 or 11 games in a season, and he's only done that a couple times. Most of the time he's been pretty much a career backup, and I don't think he's proven to be that reliable that you can really say you're going to trade Carson Wentz and count on this guy to be your quarterback going forward for however many more seasons. I just don't think you can depend on him to be your guy in all 16 games for the next several seasons. And if you trade Carson Wentz, I understand. Listen, I get it. If the guy brought you a championship, if he brings you another playoff run, then you think, well, man, maybe we've had the wrong guy this whole time. Maybe Carson Wentz isn't the best fit long term in Philadelphia, but to commit to a veteran Nick Foles, who again hasn't shown the durability to be when you're talking about who your quarterback's going to be, you want a guy who's going to be on the field without question every single week. And you can't say that for sure Nick Foles is going to do that for you.
Wait, what? You just said that you don't know the durability of Nick Foles when Carson Wentz has been hurt the last 2 years?
Okay, one does not justify the other. Maybe it's neither of them. Maybe you need to go in a completely different... Maybe you need to get somebody else entirely to be your quarterback in the future. But yeah, you've got one injury.
I'm sure the Mets will trade Tim Tebow for a draft pick or two.
You've got...
Can we do that? Can we do cross-sport trade draft picks?
Yeah, right? Fucking the Mets will trade for anybody at this point.
I would agree that, it might be time for the Eagles to explore. If they could get some good ROI, some really good trade value, I would certainly explore a Carson Wentz trade. But I would also look into...
I'll take him. Broncos will take him.
Sure, yeah. Why not? I think this season has shown that maybe, just maybe, he's not going to be the best fit long-term in Philly. But that being said, I don't think it's Nick Foles either because of the age, because of the durability concerns. So maybe, again, if you get the right value, look into getting another quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Nick Foles looks pretty good right now, and is he the franchise quarterback? You very well could be right. You could be wrong, but right now he looks a lot hell of better than Carson Wentz. So we will move on from that game because we talked about that for 15 minutes.
Sure did.
The Eagles beat the Texans 32-30. We
Last
didn't really
minute
talk about the Texans much there, but just to touch on
I think
that,
the Texans will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be okay.
They got to beat the Jags this week, which I think they will, and then they'll end up at the 3 seed as long as the Patriots win.
Their run game is kind of shit.
Well, I think Lamar Miller was out.
Still hurt.
Yeah.
And Alfred Blue's not a running back.
No, Alfred Blue's not a running back.
Actually, I want to say
Deshaun Watson ran for 50 yards and 2 touchdowns, so he literally scored all 4 touchdowns that the Texans scored.
And kept me in our playoff match.
And somehow kept you in our playoff matchup, which I still beat you this week by 20-something points. But we're going into the second week of the championship. So kind of funny that 2 co-hosts out of a league of 8 made it to the championship.
Yeah,
I guess we had 3 chances in 8, so it wasn't.
Yeah, Jared doesn't want to talk about this league.
Sorry, buddy. You lost by 3 points in the semifinal.
And Keenan Allen put up 0.
Unbelievable.
Anyways,
it was the fantasy week from hell. But yeah,
it was a collapse.
It really was. Man.
Anyways, I think the Texans will be okay, but really they need Lamar Miller to get healthy, like right freaking now. And if they don't, really nobody you can sign. There's no free agents here.
No.
Especially and they lost Demaryius Thomas too, so they really need the running game.
Yeah. Oh, and Kiki Kuti. Yeah. I mean, these are guys that we really talk about that often, but I mean, they're still important.
Listen, they also there are guys that we don't talk about that often, but they're guys that keep the eye off of DeAndre Hopkins, who is their big receiver. Look at Antonio Brown. We talk about Smith-Schuster because he gets decent receptions and makes some crazy catches.
He's been great this year.
Correct. However, he also opens up the other side of the field for Antonio Brown. And this has been a theme forever. You have one wide receiver. What's everybody going to do? Double team the one wide receiver. Look at the Giants. Everyone double teams Odell Beckham. Why? Because he's Odell Beckham. If you bring in a second halfway decent wide receiver like a Demaryius Thomas or a Kuti.
Brandon Marshall. That didn't work out so well.
That's not a thing. I'm talking a halfway decent wide receiver, not a halfway decent 95-year-old wide receiver. You have a better chance of that big receiver getting better receptions and more yards and helping your team out in the big spot. So they're definitely hurt on injuries. So if their injuries can, hopefully be miraculously cured in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that would be great for them. If not, their playoff may be cut short here. But definitely still a solid season by them, even though they came out with another loss here, 10-5 from starting 0-3 was it? So, they're still 10-2 in the last 12 games. So not terrible. Anyways, we're going to move on to the Vikings and the Lions. The Vikings beat the Lions 27-9.
The Vikings are actually they fire their head offensive coordinator there, DeFilippo, and now their offense actually looks like what we thought it would look like at the beginning of the season. So I'd hate to say it, but the Vikings could be dangerous in the playoffs. They're trending in the right direction. Their offense looks great. They're finally handing the ball off to Dalvin Cook. And now I know he only had 73 yards, but the last 2 games he's had probably more yards than pretty much the entire season. And you get Kirk Cousins a little comfortable. They look pretty good.
I can't deny that. I've said all season long that the Vikings have had the talent to be a top 5, maybe top 3 team in the league. I know that sounds crazy because you look at their record, but when at their peak, they're as good as anybody because you look at the talent they have on both sides of the ball. This is a game where Kyle Rudolph was their leading receiver with, he had the huge game, but they still have Thielen and Diggs, and now the fact that they're utilizing Dalvin Cook more. Kirk Cousins is obviously an upgrade at quarterback over what they had last year with Case Keenum. So the Vikings, they've got a ton of talent, but unfortunately, I just get the feeling like we could be saying the same thing next week of where was this team that we saw this week because they're inconsistent. They've been on and off pretty much all season long. It's disappointing that they haven't been able to find that consistency, but certainly right now they're in control of their own destiny. If they get in, they could make noise, but I just feel like with them, tired of putting my hand on the stove and getting burned because they just haven't shown the ability to, first of all, get up for the big games. They haven't beaten the really good teams this year, and they've had plenty of opportunities to do so. And yeah, they've just been on one week and off the next.
Yeah, but I think they still have a lot of talent and enough talent to make a push this year.
They do. They do. I mean, it's just a matter of executing. And they, in this game, it's also worth noting they're actually down in this one in the first half. Took them until just about halftime, maybe a little after halftime, before they really got going. So I mean, it's a good thing.
I mean,
it's a good thing they didn't blow it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel you there. So they won 27-9. Me and you both had the Vikings. House had the Vikings. All sales ahead, really. I mean, the Lions have had their couple good home.
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
all
they're Vikings.
Sales ahead because they're Vikings and they ride ships.
Yeah. Lions had a couple good games at home this year, beating the Patriots, but really they've had a pretty disappointing year.
Yeah, and Matt Patricia can't seem to show up on time to team meetings and press conferences. I actually just read a story that's been an occurring thing all season long. So, I mean, that might be a premature old moment, but Matt Patricia.
How about
what are you doing?
That is old.
What are you doing, bro? Show up on time. Set your alarm, will you?
How about Matt Stafford? I mean, I know we'll probably have a free agency show in the off season, but there's a chance Matt Stafford doesn't stay in Detroit either. And I'll tell you what, I'll take him.
There are a lot of teams.
You'll take anybody in Denver.
I will take anybody.
And with that, we everybody had the Vikings there. Moving on, we're actually let's get to the game that we didn't. We actually skipped a game last week. We're sorry, everybody. We missed the nail biter that was the Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
This game was so bad. I watched this game.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I watched this game because my mom's a Cowboys fan, and obviously the Cowboys, if you don't know, they clinched the NFC East with this game, with this win. Their offense looked terrible against the Tampa Bay Bucks, and you might be saying, "Oh, they scored 27 points." Yeah, well, that's because Jalen Smith, I think, is Jalen Smith. Is that his name? Yeah, I think it's Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
He had a 69-yard fumble return for a touchdown, and the defense had a bunch of other interceptions, and it was just a joke from the offense.
Is there a more embarrassing team in football this season than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because, listen, you could be the Arizona Cardinals and just look awful almost every single week. Or you could be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and here's what they do. Almost every week, they move the ball. They dominate time of possession practically, but they continuously fail to score points. How do you keep stringing together these drives, and every time you're missing field goals, you're not converting in the red zone, you're giving the ball away week after week after week? Like, how inept can you possibly be?
Well, the Bucs are a terrible team. They've been terrible for the past 5 years.
It's one thing to be an offense that just sucks outright. Like, you suck. You don't have good wide receivers. You don't have a good quarterback. You don't have a good running back. But they clearly have the potential to put up like 40 points a game. But they keep screwing up once they get close every week.
Well, they don't have who is their superstar? You're going to say Mike Evans? Yeah, Mike Evans has been a really good wide receiver, but when's the last time a good wide receiver made an offense that much better? It doesn't happen that often. Calvin Johnson was on a terrible team for a long time, and he was probably one of the best wide receivers of this decade, or this century, or whatever the hell.
Well, let's not forget that this team let's not forget that early, like, remember, when we had the Fitzmagic thing going on, the Bucs were lighting teams up early in the season. Like, something happened. Something happened where they just haven't been able to finish the job. I don't know. I mean, it's so perplexing to me because, like I said, you can separate good offenses from bad offenses, ones that can move the ball versus ones that can't. Probably said too much at this point, but it's just mind-boggling.
I understand your
They're
frustration.
The Buccaneers, and they suck.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they can't finish games. Packers, Jets, 44-38. The Packers took this one. Where the hell did this come from? Because the Packers haven't put up any score at all, ever, this entire season.
Well, Aaron Rodgers was finally like, I'm just going to do everything myself. This dude had 2 touchdowns through the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground, over 400 yards, a 2-point conversion on the ground. I mean, the Green Bay's team is just terrible.
Just awful.
The Green Bay's team is just terrible. I will say
team.
I have been very impressed with Sam Darnold in the last couple of weeks. He's been throwing the ball. He really looks like the best quarterback out of that class, maybe tied with Baker Mayfield. But he's been looking great since he got healthy.
Yeah,
Green Bay
was
terrible.
This was Darnold's best game of the season so far. And I give the Jets a lot of credit for sticking with this kid and the fact that he doesn't have a lot of talent around him. He's coming into the league so young, what is he, like 21 years old? And he's had to learn trial by fire. And Green Bay isn't the obviously most talented opponent. We know that their defense is a total sieve, but he had a great game in terms of accuracy and throwing the ball downfield and not turning it over. And this was a big step forward for him. So it's good that he played well. The Jets weren't able to close it out. Aaron Rodgers, about 2 months too late, decided to put the team on his back. And where was this kind of performance when they were still in contention? But yeah, this is a game that had no business going into overtime, but it did.
It was exciting, though. I will tell you that. Didn't mean anything, but it was exciting.
Hey, it's good to see teams playing like they got pride for the game, even if they don't most of the season. So maybe the Packers will be back next year. We'll see.
Doubtful.
With that game, Chase, you and I, we were feeling lucky and we went with the Jets. The house had the Packers.
And you're both wrong.
Yeah.
Because the Packers won.
Well, we were almost right.
Well, see, almost right is still wrong.
He's got us there.
And almost right is still a loss because you can either be right or wrong. And if you're wrong, you lose. So good day, sir. Moving on to the Colts, the Giants. The Colts beat the Giants 28-27. Are the Colts actually going to make a playoff run here, man?
I think so. I think they beat the Titans, and I think that they make it to the AFC Championship. What? Chase, you're crazy. The AFC Championship? Well, hear me out. If they make the 6th seed, they end up playing the Houston Texans probably in the 3 seed. They could absolutely beat Houston in the wild card round.
I agree.
Then they go to Foxborough, Massachusetts, probably.
No.
Yes.
6th seed. Where are they going? 1 seed.
Oh, they're going to go to Arrowhead. Oh, even better. So they would either go to Arrowhead or they would go to San Diego, LA, wherever the hell they're located now. And clearly, we know that none of these teams can win at home. I don't know why, but the Chiefs and Chargers cannot win at home.
Which is ridiculous because the Chiefs should always win at home.
Hold on.
It's known that the Chiefs win in Arrowhead.
Hold on a second. Austin, you've been to Arrowhead. What's the temperature like this time of year?
Specifically, when I was there, negative 17 degrees at kickoff.
Okay, great. And where
don't care.
Chase, where do the Colts play?
Hear me out. Don't care. The Chiefs have been so bad in the playoffs at home. I'm not going to take them for a second, especially with them trending down and towards the playoffs. That's like the worst thing you could do is play like shit right before the playoffs. So no, thank you. So they're going to beat whoever's in the 1 seed, which is either the Chiefs or the Chargers. Don't care. So there you go. Pats Colts AFC Championship. It could happen.
I pray that you're wrong. You know why? Because the Colts would have nothing left after beating the Chiefs and they'd lose to the Pats.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it better not happen. I really hope.
It could happen though.
But hey, I do like the Colts to make the playoffs though. I do think that they'll beat the Titans because Andrew Luck is balling out. I mean, this is he's performing this season like a franchise quarterback. Plain and simple. Colts wouldn't be where they are without him. He has, he gives the Colts something that like half the other AFC playoff teams don't have. In all honesty, that legitimate quarterback that's going to anchor the team with his fundamentals, with his pocket ability, and just put a team on his back. That's what he did here. He pulled out that game-winning drive with the go-ahead touchdown with just under a minute to go. The Colts were actually losing. They had not led in this game until 55 seconds before it ended. Giants did play really well, all things considered, although in the second half it was the common case of just, once again, not putting a team away. You're not finishing drives. You're kicking field goals when you should be scoring touchdowns. And Saquon Barkley was shut down, but Eli Manning, outside of the late interception when time was running out, he had a very good game. I think he's going to be back with the Giants next year, especially considering how thin the quarterback class is going to be in the draft. So it was just a case that the Giants played well, and the Colts, they wanted it more in the end. They needed it more. It mattered for them. So they won, and now they're in good shape. And yeah, with that, Chase and I both had the Colts, and the house had the Giants. Colts won 28-27.
And the house is wrong again. Moving on. Browns, Bengals. Bengals suck. Is there really even anything to say about this game? The Browns won. It doesn't mean anything.
There is one thing to say about this game.
Baker Mayfield's actually a legitimate quarterback.
Baker Mayfield hates Hugh Jackson.
Oh, hates him. It's hilarious. That is true.
So funny.
That is
he
true.
He stares him down every time. It's amazing.
It's
he threw
incredible.
like a 60-yard completion to David Njoku, and he just stares down Q like, look at what you fucked up, basically.
Yeah, literally. Like, yeah, no, it is pretty funny, and I do have to say I love the cockiness and the swagger. As long as it doesn't get over the top, Mr. Mayfield, it's great for the game. It's great for the Browns fans. It's great for the city. And like, hashtag fuck you, Jackson.
He's like Johnny Manziel, but like a tamed version that we can
Johnny
all
Manziel,
accept.
but not on meth.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's okay to be cocky if you can back it up. And guess what? He's playing well, and I've got no issue whatsoever with the fact that Cleveland has been a laughing stock of an organization forever, and Baker Mayfield and a lot of these other players, they're sick of it. They're sick of the reputation of the Cleveland Browns, and they want to be the group of players to change that. So you know what? They're finally getting the Browns to become close to a winning football team, pretty much a winning football team at this point. And you know what?
Without the tie, they would have been
7-7-1.
Hey, listen, they have a better record than most people in the league. They almost have a better record than the Eagles, and we're talking about the Eagles potentially making the Super Bowl and winning it again this year. So, like,
buddy, hear me out. You ready for this? I know it's a little early because this is not the prediction episode. The Browns are going to beat the Ravens next week. The Ravens are not going to make the playoffs because the Browns are going to bring it to them. And then the Browns will end up 8-7-1 with a winning record.
No.
Cash it in. Cash it in. Baker
right.
Mayfield's about to make the Ravens look silly.
All right. Early prediction from Chase. We will table it, and we will proceed forward with the argument when it comes to our if I could speak, prediction episode. However, it would have been nice to see the Browns make the playoffs. It is nice to see them kind of kicking some ass this year in the last couple games and really making a statement for themselves and, hopefully making something of next year, keeping some of these core guys around and building on top of what they have already and the momentum that they have going in the next year. Because how cool would it be to see a Browns playoff run next year?
Yeah, I think it could totally happen at this point. I'm thinking that hey, if they can,
I may end up with a Baker Mayfield jersey in the near future. Mm-hmm. I totally did the Baker Mayfield arm swing when I scored a winning touchdown in our football game 2 weeks ago. Just letting everybody know that.
That did happen. Can confirm.
Can confirm Chase was the quarterback.
And in
Moving on,
in this game,
Browns beat the Bengals 26-18.
Chase and myself both had the Browns. House had the Bengals. Also worth noting real quick that the Browns were up in this game 26-0, so the final score doesn't mean that this was a close game by any means necessary. Bengals scored all their points in garbage time. Browns kicked their ass once again.
The Bengals are terrible. Moving on.
Bengals are bad.
Okay. Falcons, Panthers.
The Panthers are worse.
Oh, my God, man.
What a joke. 6-2 this team was. This team was 6-2.
They were close to knocking off the Saints at one point. This could have been their division. They could have been the number one seed. What happened?
Could have been the number one seed.
And now they're 6-9, and they're going golfing in 4 days.
Cam's done for the season. The only thing that this team has is Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the entire league. If not arguably behind like Kamara and Gurley, the best running back in the league. He is top 5. He is top 3.
And he's pretty much the only person that's shown up for this team over the second half of this season. I mean, I don't know how you go from being so good to being downright horrible, but now they're playing with their backup quarterback, who, by the way, he got hurt too, so they had to sign somebody else to start Week 17. This season can't end soon enough. What a train wreck it's been for Carolina. Just such a plummet. You go from being a really, really good team, 6-2. People are talking about playoffs or a guarantee at this point, if not higher. And now you're all about draft positioning. Just pathetic. Absolutely.
The only good thing about this is that I can laugh at Kyle Bruno.
Yeah,
Kyle,
right.
if you're listening, I'm laughing at you. That's the only thing I care about with the Panthers right now. Kyle, I still love you. Anyways,
the Falcons, they got to win. They've had an awful season too. Man, going into this season, we thought
they're finally scoring more than 19 points a game, so that's good.
Yeah, they're pretty meaningless. This is all meaningless right now, though.
God.
I mean, Matt Ryan had a good day, 3 touchdowns, but how much can you talk about these teams in Week 16 when they're both just had terrible seasons?
That's what I mean. It's just some of these games are just like, okay, here's the outcome, skip. Because, what's the point? They're irrelevant. Both these games are irrelevant. Both these teams are irrelevant. Next week's irrelevant. And then they're going golfing. And what's it, Thursday right now? But Wednesday?
Week and a half.
Yeah, not even. Not even. After Sunday, they're going golfing.
Wow.
Yeah, they got a lot of cleaning.
They have 3 days until their season's over. 4 if they play on Monday, because I didn't look at next week's schedule yet. So
no, every game's on Sunday this week.
All right, very good. So they have 3 days until they're in Florida golfing. So you know what?
Maybe they are doing it right.
Yeah, maybe they are doing
maybe
it right.
We're wrong.
They don't have another month of football to play. They are going to Florida to go golf and sit on a beach in their second house somewhere. Yeah. So you know what? Good for them. Moving on, another irrelevant team, the Bills lost to the Patriots 24-12. Pretty obvious that this was going to happen. The Bills went into Foxborough to face a then 9-5 Patriots, and they were 5-9. And the Patriots went to 10-5, and the Bills went to 5-10.
Yeah, I guess the big storyline of this game is that Sony Michel finally had another good day.
Yep, and I benched him.
Yeah, the Bills have always had a good pass defense, but they've been struggling with the rush defense, and the Patriots knew to exploit that. Also, it could be said that Gronkowski, who I started this week, put up a solid goose egg.
Solid goose egg. Didn't even catch the ball. Never caught the football. Yeah. Rob Gronkowski in Foxborough never caught the football.
Yep. So he's done. He's not playing next year. I guarantee it. I'm just gonna put a bunch of statements out there today. Rob Gronkowski is not playing football next year.
Does he not want to?
He wanted to retire, or he wanted to leave, or they wanted to trade him, and he was like, "I'm just gonna retire if you trade me." So he's gonna retire this year because he hasn't done shit, and he's been hurt.
Yeah,
and he doesn't want to be there, especially if the Patriots have a bad playoffs. He's probably done.
I swear on the name of all that is holy, if this old geezer retirement home shell of a Patriots team goes to another Super Bowl, I might just have to eat my shoe. They are so terrible.
There it is. There it is. Wheel of punishment. Eat your shoe. Eat your shoe. Eat your shoe. That was an Avenged Sevenfold reference, if anyone was wondering.
Dude, the freaking Tom Brady struggles to a win over the Buffalo. It's Week 16 of the season, and Tom Brady is throwing for 130 yards, struggling to a win, completing half of his passes against the Buffalo Bills in Foxborough. He can't connect with Gronk once. I mean, come on. Tom Brady. He's a shell of his former self at this point. The Patriots, they haven't looked themselves all season long. Brady isn't as accurate with the football. They commit tons of penalties. Their offense, if it wasn't for Sony Michel, they would be perfectly average at best. Their defense can't stop anybody. Yeah, they allowed, they held the Bills to 12 points. Congratulations. They have one of the worst offenses in the league. They will annoy me to no end if they're able to beat these teams based on nothing but home field advantage and playoff experience in January. It will piss me off so much because they are the least exciting, least talented team in the AFC playoffs. And that's even if the damn Titans get in.
Listen, this is all part of the plan. This is Robert Kraft. He's just gonna suck the life out of Tom Brady, Gronk, and all these other Julian Edelman. He's getting old up there. Bill Belichick wanted to dish these guys. Let's not forget. Bill wanted to get Jimmy Garoppolo in there. He wanted to get rid of Gronk.
Correct.
This is all Robert Kraft's doing. So he's gonna ride them until they got no gas left in the tank, and he might have this year, but I don't think he's got next year. I don't think that these guys are gonna be doing much next year. Maybe Tom Brady said he wanted to play, but we can already see the difference between last year and this year. Didn't he win MVP last year?
No,
Yeah.
no, you're right.
He
You're
won
right.
league MVP last year, and now he's probably like the 10th overall quarterback in the league.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, but Father Time catches everybody.
I hear you. I mean, I just feel like the death sentence for the Patriots is going on the road in the playoffs, and now that they're probably going to get a bye, that really annoys the crap out of me because I feel like now if the Chiefs choke, all of a sudden the home field advantage swings back in their favor.
Yep.
Yep. Everybody picked the Patriots there. Actually, what did the house say? Did the house? Yep. Even the house had the Patriots.
The house also said Patriots because the house was smart for that game. Moving on to the Bears at the 49ers. How come the Bears only put up 14 points in this game?
The Bears are weird because they
Actually, just not care.
they play offense like the Patriots do sometimes, where they just kind of do game script. So like this was a really run heavy game script for them. So it was a lot of Jordan Howard, a lot of like short dinking passes and stuff like that. Like you can see Trubisky only had one touchdown. Like they weren't really testing down the field this game. And the 49ers have actually kind of found a rhythm the last couple of weeks. They almost beat the Seahawks. They beat the Broncos. Now they played the Bears tough.
They did beat the
49ers are going to be a
Seahawks.
team to watch next year once they get their players back.
Speaking of the 49ers, could this be a spot that Earl Thomas could land in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they seem
Go
to
back
be,
to Richard Sherman.
Yeah,
Go
they
back
seem
to
to have a
Richard
great
Sherman,
reputation
get the
as
hell
the-
out of the Seahawks.
Yeah. But now does he want to leave because Seattle's actually a good team?
I think he hates them enough that he
Yeah.
wants to leave. Like, look at him flipping them off, leaving the field.
That was a couple months ago, but yeah, I do remember that.
That was I mean, if I was him and I was seen flipping off a team, leaving the field because I got hurt because you wouldn't give me a contract so that I could stay and play with you when I wanted to stay and play with you, I'm now not going to go back to you. I don't care. Maybe that's just me.
No, you're probably
But if I hate you that much in that moment and audibly, like on paper and in interviews, before even getting injured, being angry with you, I would not go back to you. I would go somewhere completely, extremely far away. And the other thing that I think about him going to the 49ers is that he would then play the Seahawks twice, would he not?
Yeah, that's what Sherman did.
Exactly. So if he goes to the 49ers, goes with Sherman, and then can try to smoke the Seahawks twice, that would be my move.
That'd be a hell of a team. Put Earl Thomas back there.
Put Earl Thomas with Richard Sherman, get Garoppolo back, get that team healthy again.
Yeah.
Could be a team to watch. And if they add somebody like that, I mean, that seems like a perfect fit for a guy that wants to get the hell out of Seattle.
Yeah, that
is going to get the hell out of Seattle.
They need a couple offensive weapons, but it is interesting. Yes. But the Bears, they did their normal Bear self on defense. I mean, they suffocated the 49ers all game. I mean, they only scored 9 points. So, I mean, the Bears look good. Bears look really good. You're going to have to beat the Bears with what? With a run game? I mean, I don't even know. You can't pass on them, that's for sure.
Well, here's the thing. I saw this when the Giants beat them. The thing is with the Bears, it takes a very patient offense. You have to be able to kind of roll with the punches against the Bears. You're going to get hit. That's a given. You have to dink and dunk against them. You have to, you got to win the war up front. At times, you have to use the middle of the field. You're not going to be able to stretch the field against them. You can't throw against their secondary. They don't give up big plays. But you're just going to have to chip away with those 5 to 6 yard pickups. The Giants found a rhythm when they beat them using a stud running back like Saquon Barkley. So that's why I think if the Rams were able to learn from their mistakes when they lost to Chicago, if they were more aggressive with Todd Gurley, maybe they could be the team to do it. I think the Saints also have that ability with Alvin Kamara. But it's going to take that type of running game to beat this team.
With that, I had the Bears. Jared had the Bears. House had the Bears. We all had the Bears.
Bears.
The Bears.
Coach.
Yippers. Moving on, we had the Rams. Speaking of the Rams beat the Arizona Cardinals 31-9. There's really not a lot to say here, guys. Todd Gurley was
there is something to say. Hold on, everyone. C.J. Anderson,
yeah, there's a lot of
the
truth in
old Bronco, baby, coming in. They said he was overweight. He bounced off of like 3 other teams this year. He was on the Panthers. He worked out for the Raiders. He worked out for somebody else.
He worked out for the Chiefs also when Hunt was.
Oh, when
Hunt got kicked out of the league.
He finally gets signed, and Todd Gurley misses this game, and the dude throws up 167-1. I mean, is Todd Gurley just a scheme player?
Shut up! Shut up!
Hold on, ready for it? Well, is Todd Gurley a fluke?
Okay.
Is Sean McVay's offense so good that he can just plug guys in?
I mean, come on, guys. He played against the worst team in the NFL.
They have a decent defense.
Look at Jared Goff. Jared Goff only went for 216-1.
He didn't need
did he really have to do anything else?
To do anything.
I don't know, man. I think that
you know what's really frustrating? I have the Rams defense in fantasy, and they really didn't do jack shit in a game that they only let up 9 points and scored 31 in.
Yeah, it's incompletions. And
I'm
stuff,
just, where's the elite Rams defense? Where's the sacks? Where's the interceptions? Give me something. It's the Cardinals, and they scored 9 points. 3 field goals is what they scored.
No, actually, it was a Larry Fitzgerald passing touchdown to David Johnson, which they did not convert the extra point on.
Oh, I apologize.
Yes.
Okay. Clearly, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
to
no, that I only knew that because this is probably Larry's last game.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think so.
Probably Larry's last game in Arizona.
In Arizona.
Yes.
Okay.
This was a home game because obviously he's playing next week.
But you don't think he's retiring?
I think he's retiring. Yes.
I don't.
Why not? He's like 33.
And he's still pretty freaking good.
Listen, all right, even so.
Somebody could use him.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
No.
His best
Brandon Marshall got signed to the fucking Saints this year.
He doesn't want to do that, though. He doesn't want to get signed to like a 1-year vets minimum and play like 3 games.
And win a Super Bowl? If there's anybody in the history of the NFL.
What do you mean win the Super Bowl? Who's going to?
Somebody next year. Anybody good.
All right,
You're telling me there's not a single team that wouldn't sign Larry Fitzgerald if they were like, listen, we're almost guaranteed a playoff run here. We need you. Come play for us.
I don't know. He's been a Cardinal his whole life. It's not like he bounces around.
If there's one guy in the history of the NFL that deserves a Super Bowl title, it's Larry Fitzgerald.
I would agree with that.
He didn't get it.
Yeah, that's the NFL for you.
Because he's on the fucking Cardinals. Stick him on the Saints right now.
All right, sure. I mean, if New England goes out and signs him, fine. Yeah, I can see that happening.
I don't see him playing in New England because New England's a bunch of crooks.
Why not?
Because Larry Fitzgerald's actually a decent human being.
That's what they do.
Larry Fitzgerald is a decent human being. The Patriots signed guys like Josh Gordon.
Yeah, he can't play next year now.
So foreshadowing to my alt moment of the week.
They need a wide receiver now, clearly.
I think he's going to end up with somebody like a Saints or maybe like the Rams or somebody that actually has a little bit of respect behind their team and not the fucking Patriots. Because, like...
Giants?
Nah. I don't think he would want to play for them.
I wouldn't entirely rule against it, but I think Sterling Shepard has kind of...
Of course, because it's the Giants.
No, I'm just saying they signed Marshall, so that's why I said it.
Well, yeah, well, they did sign Marshall, but that was before Sterling Shepard got more experience.
But yeah, I think it's his last game. We'll see what happens.
I mean, let me just say, I agree with you, Austin, that if there's anyone who deserves a ring, it's Larry Fitzgerald. I think that he's going to go down in NFL history as one of the best players to never win a Super Bowl because, I mean, man, exactly. No, he's in that class. He's in that discussion of like players who never won the big one because, I mean, statistically, on the field and just as a human being, all that he's done, he's just been a model stand-up NFL citizen his whole career, as well as one of the greatest players of all time. So,
and he's a cool dude. Yeah. I met him twice at 2 different Walter camps, which are like football signing events in New Haven, Connecticut. And he was wondering, I don't think they still do them. I don't know. Chase, I think you went to one with me.
I did.
Yeah, you did. That was with Ron. Ron's what the hell's his name? I'm talking about Jared, the football guy. Played for the Bears.
Oh yeah. I don't know his last name.
Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons was there. Anyways, but no, I met Larry Fitzgerald twice, and he's just a down to earth, cool dude. I was probably like 12, because he's 97 years old now, and he was just super down to earth, cool, meets people, takes pictures, signs autographs. He's like a Derek Jeter of football. I mean, not like name wise, if you will, but just that same kind of professionalism and does right by the sport. So, and I think we've talked about this on prior episodes because I remember having a whole rant about him and how good of a person he is in the whole 9 yards. But yeah, we definitely talked about this game for way too long. But Larry Fitzgerald, hopefully he'll come back next year because I can see him signing with somebody. We're going to move on to a game that was a little bit closer, and that's the Saints and the Steelers. Jared, what do you got for this one?
Yeah, I mean, the officiating was kind of questionable here. There were a lot of calls against the Steelers here, and people have been saying this for a while that they're kind of skeptical of the officiating in the Superdome. And I mean, there was a lot to complain about if you were a Steelers fan. Some questionable calls, to say the least. But also, yeah, Juju come up with some critical drops here, at least one big one. But at the end of the day, the Saints did rediscover their offense after weeks of futility, I would say. I mean, it's something that every team goes through, but it's just unfortunate that it had to happen to the Saints as we inch toward the most critical point of the season, heading into January. You want all the momentum you can get. But the Saints did get that win, and now the Steelers are in big trouble while the Saints clinch the top seed in the NFC playoffs.
Yeah, Steelers, they got to win, and they got to get some help from the Browns. I saw that Antonio Brown is actually going to wear some sort of Browns, I don't know if it's like a cleat or some sort of apparel during his game.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Because they literally have to root for the Browns.
Yeah.
Hold on. The Steelers have to root for the Browns to win a football game.
Yep. And it could happen.
Moments for the week?
We saw the Bengals beat the Ravens last year, people. Let's not just fork over the Ravens this division title because it's not a guarantee.
Are the Browns at home? Or is it in Baltimore?
It's in Baltimore. I'm pretty sure.
Makes it a little tougher, but
a little tough.
It would make the upset that much sweeter.
It would.
I mean, the gap has been narrowed with those teams this year, but the Ravens, I'm sorry. They've put in too much work in the second half this year with Lamar to piss it all away by losing to the Browns. I'm sorry, the Browns they've become a pretty good team, but the Ravens are better this year. And if you just can't squander this opportunity.
Yeah, I would hope not. But the Saints have had a great season. They clinched the first round bye. They can sit a lot of their starters next week, which is unfortunate because I have Alvin Kamara, so I'm not playing him, obviously. And also, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Pittsburgh if the Pittsburgh Steelers don't make the playoffs. You've got two big guys in Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. And then you got Big Ben, who almost hung the towel up last year, I believe. So we'll see what he wants to do this year. No Le'Veon Bell, obviously. James Conner is going to be due for a contract in about a year from now. So there will be a lot of moves and movements going on in Pittsburgh. So unfortunately, I don't see this same team taking the field next year to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, well, go back to what you said about the Saints. I think that them clinching the number one seed is so huge for them. I think that it makes them absolute favorites to go to the Super Bowl at this point. With the playoffs running through the Superdome, it's been proven in the past in the postseason that opposing teams they just can't win there. I don't think the Saints have lost a playoff game at home in almost 30 years. So it's just so loud in there, and the offense seems to thrive at home in that atmosphere. And I can't see any of these other NFC teams having the firepower to stand up to what they're going to have to deal with under the bright lights there in New Orleans. So I think it's a humongous win for the Saints to clinch that number one seed. And I'd be honestly pretty surprised if they don't wind up taking the NFC.
It would really be fun to watch the Saints make it to the Super Bowl this year. They would be, unless the Chiefs make it far enough, because obviously I would have to root for them. Everybody knows that My now wife is a Chiefs fan, and the whole sleeping on the couch thing. So I would pull for the Chiefs out of principle. However, because she's probably not listening to this, the Saints, I would have so much fun rooting for the Saints this year. It would be incredible. Oh man, I would love them to make the Super Bowl. That would just be fun.
Sure would be. Saints won this one 31-28, and Chase had the Steelers. I had the Saints. The house had the Saints.
Yes, they did. And speaking of the Chiefs, they lost to the Seahawks 38-31.
This just has to be such a blow, I think, to your confidence in the Chiefs going forward. Because, man, especially without Kareem Hunt, this team has become so one-dimensional. Not to say they're bad. They're still good.
No, they're not bad. I mean, they got the best passing offense in the league.
Yeah, but unfortunately, here's the thing. When you can't stop anybody, no matter how good of an offense you are, you're going to get to the point where you're going to get stopped. Not necessarily shut down, because that didn't happen in this game, but you're going to get stopped once or twice. And when you keep surrendering whenever your defense is on the field, like your defense can't stop a freaking nosebleed, because that's what happened here. Patrick Mahomes, through sheer force of will, tried to Aaron Rodgers this team. He showed a lot of poise. This kid, he showed so much maturity on the field in his first full season in the league, but he can't do it all. He needs some help on the other side of the ball. And unfortunately, in the second half of this game, it's like Mahomes is trying to will his team back into it. He's driving the ball up and down the field. He's doing it with confidence. But then the defense goes back out there and just gives all the points right back.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about how defense wins championships. And, I mean, the Chiefs have one of the worst defenses in the league. It would be mind-boggling to see them win a Super Bowl with this side of the football being so... I mean, I can't even say depleted. They just don't have the talent there. They bring back Eric Berry, and it doesn't seem to do much of anything, really. Russell Wilson still throws for 3 touchdowns, and Doug Baldwin has a great game. I think this is going to be weird, but I'm more scared of the Seahawks in the playoffs than I am of the Chiefs.
True. Because the Seahawks actually look decent and the Chiefs look like shit, and the Chiefs always fall apart in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Seahawks have a great run game. Russell Wilson has been great. Pete Carroll has been there before. They have a ring already between the two of them.
Hopefully they just choose to run it into the end zone this time.
Everything I said at the beginning of the season, just saying.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for them, however, because they're going to play every game on the road. But there's definitely a possibility. If they were in the AFC, I would say that they might be the favorite to win it out. But since they're in the NFC, I'm still going to take the Saints.
The defense travels. They've got the potential to maybe go to the NFC Championship game. Not if they have to play the Saints in the second round, but we'll see.
Yep. And with that, Chase had the Seahawks, Jared had the Chiefs, the house had the Chiefs. And to cap it off, the game of the week, Chase.
What do you mean the game of the week? Listen. Did I even put a thing down? Oh, I did pick the Broncos. All right. Jared said it on the podcast. This was potentially the last home game in Oakland, or last Raiders game in Oakland. Yep. The Broncos have nothing to play for. They're already out of the playoffs. They have nothing to play for. The Raiders got up for this game. It was in Oakland.
Do you think they threw it?
Yeah, they don't like them. They want to do it to be nice. It's like, oh, no, they didn't do it to be nice. The Broncos suck.
All right, no, they didn't throw it. They just absolutely blow.
They beat the Steelers at home, right? So let's talk about their wins real quick. They beat the Steelers at home. The Steelers might not even make the playoffs, so that win looks fucking meaningless. And then they beat the Chargers at home. And what did we just say about the Chargers? They have a good record, but they are really they're really sketchy. They're not. I don't think they're the top 5 team that everybody's been talking about. So honestly, the Broncos. I said they were going to go 7-9. They might go 6-10 this year. I'm not surprised. We need a lot of work. We're getting a new coach next year. We need a new quarterback. We need a bunch. And for the Raiders, Sorry, but you just hurt your draft position.
They've hurt their draft position all season. All season. Because every time the Cowboys won, they lost another spot. Every time the Bears won, they lost another spot. Now they just won again, lost another spot.
Yeah.
Every draft pick that they traded for was worth a tenth of what it was when they traded for him in the first place.
Yeah, Bears are good.
Because the Bears are great. So now that draft pick, granted, listen, it's a first-round draft pick. You're still going to get a decent player.
Oh, absolutely.
But, like, you're not talking about trading for 3 first-round draft picks, or 2, whatever. Was it a 1-1 and a second round, and then having your own first-round draft pick? So you're talking about having 3 first-round draft picks this year, this coming draft, and them being all almost irrelevant.
Yeah, 3 of them are in the 20s.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
All of them are, and again, listen, a top 20 pick is probably still a halfway decent player. You're talking, a group of a couple thousand players.
Yeah, but it's not like the Browns last year where they had like 3 out of the top 10.
Correct. Where you ended up with,
Denzel
Nick
Ward,
Chubb, Denzel Ward, and Baker Mayfield, who right now, other than Denzel Ward, I think being hurt and potentially not playing this week. I don't know. I know he left last week's game or something along those lines. Other than that, you're talking about late 20s. You're not talking Denzel Ward picks. You're not talking Saquon Barkley kind of picks. You're not talking Baker Mayfield picks or Lamar Miller picks. Or Lamar Jackson, I'm sorry, not Lamar Miller. Lamar Jackson picks. You're talking guys that really nobody even know play college football.
I don't know about
other than
that.
Like experts. Like if you asked me who would go in the top 20, I wouldn't have a name. I barely have a name for the top 5 this year. I don't really pay attention to college, but I could have at least told you in last year's draft the bigger names that were going to go in the top 5 to 10. But you're not talking about any named people. However, there have been players in that low of draft or undrafted that have made names for themselves. So maybe they'll get lucky, but they definitely screwed themselves by winning more games than they should have. They should have thrown
They're
it.
probably
like
still going to pick in the top 5. They still got a bunch of first round picks going on, including their pick is going to be in the top 5. Obviously, I mean, yeah, they surrendered the number 1 overall to Arizona most likely, but they're still a professional team. They've still shown that they've still got some semblance of heart, and it took some heart to come out there on prime time, the final Monday Night Football game of the year, probably the last game in Oakland. Go out there and they played well. I mean, yeah, the season's a wash and all they messed up their tank, they screwed up their draft positioning, whatever. At this point, you still got a top 5 pick. It's gonna be okay. Would the 1 overall be better? Sure, but they lost the inside track on that already by beating Arizona. So even if you wind up tied with them, they're still going to edge you out on that. So that's out the window. You're still going to pick top 5. Go out there, get one last win in Oakland in front of the fans that have supported you. And Derek Carr leading this offense. He's been the one guy that's actually cared this season. So I'm happy they were able to get a win over a rival in prime time. And Chase, you should be happy because this pretty much assures that Vance Joseph is going to McDonald's.
See ya. Well, yeah, I think that was almost guaranteed last week. Chase, I'm pretty sure I texted you saying John Elway openly said Vance Joseph doesn't have a job. So
yeah, he's actually already going to be the defensive coordinator for the Bengals or something like that.
Yeah, good. Go with Hugh Jackson. Hashtag fuck Hugh Jackson.
I don't know what the Bengals are doing, honestly.
The Bengals are the Patriots of coaching staffs. So, anyways, speaking of that, Jared, what time is it?
Well, let me check my watch. It's time for the moment of the week.
All right, I'll start us off because I'm going to go right back to the Broncos here. A couple weeks ago, you guys had to beat the 49ers, the Browns, and the Raiders to get into the playoffs. And now you're sitting here at 6-9. Lost all 3 of those games. 2 of them were at home. What happened, man? What happened?
Yep.
Case Keenum brought the Vikings to the NFC Championship last year. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb has set the rookie sack record. Von Miller is still a beast.
He's still one of the best defensive players in football. Like, other than Khalil Mack,
Yeah.
I would probably put him second.
Philip Lindsay, first ever undrafted rookie to make the Pro Bowl.
You had a team.
There
was so much hope.
There's talent.
There
There's
was.
talent, but then there's this guy named Vance Joseph. First of all, when we were recruiting, or when we were looking at coaches after Gary left, Gary Kubiak, for all those who don't know, I was thinking Kyle Shanahan. There's a bunch of other guys on the board. I think Adam Gase, but actually, no, I don't think Adam Gase is available. But it was Kyle Shanahan and somebody else was on the board, and I was really looking forward to it. And then I get word that we're hiring this guy, Vance Joseph. Who the hell is this guy? He's the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. Dolphins defense wasn't even good that year. I was like, what? Like,
That's true.
It's not like we're taking the Ravens defensive coordinator of this year. Like, just absolutely out of nowhere. Like, oh yeah, we like his like style and mentality or whatever. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll see what this guy can do. He sucks.
When you say that you're qualified on your resume, then you show up to the job and have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah, for real.
What can you bring to the table?
Yeah, I got my Class D license. Yeah, bullshit,
exactly.
buddy. So, yeah, Broncos, you're my old moment of the year, all right?
Wow.
John Elway, you got to figure it out,
Ooh,
man.
That's going to be a thing. All right, next week's episode, because it's the last week of the season, is going to be the old moment of the year, just letting everybody know.
I got to get another one?
You gotta get another one.
Damn
I
it.
like that.
All right.
That was a good idea. Sorry, Chase, I had to steal it. That was good, though. That was good.
That was a good idea. I
was
guess
good.
I'll go next, but I spoiled my old moment early in the show. I got to go with my man Matt Patricia over in Detroit. I mean, you guys already heard it earlier in the show, but stay awake, man. Set your alarm. Get your butt out of bed. I know that you've got this big bushy.
Jared, you could swear. We're explicit on iTunes now.
I mean, he's got this big.
I think I've said fuck 46 times this episode.
Asked like 3 times already.
If anyone's wondering, that's a Limp Bizkit reference.
Listen, Matt Patricia, he's got this fucking rat's nest all over his face.
There we go.
So
yes.
So he's basically got
Feels good, doesn't it?
It's like he has an extra pillow attached to his head. It's easy to catch some extra Z's. He can't get up on time, but man,
he can catch extra Z's. Wait for it, but not extra W's. Oh!
that is literally the point of this segment of the show, and I'm so happy that you did that. So yeah, Matt Patricia for showing up late to press conferences and team meetings. Maybe might be part of the reason why your team is 5-10. Just saying.
It's also the Lions. That's part of the reason the team's 5-10.
Well, I said part.
All right. So I'm gonna prefix this with some people may take this a little tasteless, if you will. But Josh Gordon, man. I'm sorry. What are you doing? What are you doing? You've had so many chances. So many chances. Why? Why are you still smoking the reefer, brother? Pick up a bottle of Jack or something. I'm sorry, but fuck.
To quote Stephen A. Smith, stay off the damn weed.
Exactly. I mean, dude. You were putting together a great season this year on the Patriots, a team that could potentially still make the playoffs, is going to make the playoffs and still potentially make another Super Bowl run. And you just had to pick up a blunt. You couldn't put it down for 3 more weeks. You're talking 3 more weeks.
Yo, they had security around him monitoring him, and he did it like in the off week, like their bye week or something like that. Like they literally had guys monitoring him.
You know that you were being followed because of what have you been caught 11 times smoking weed and getting drug tested? It's like Aaron Judge. Granted, all right, so I won't smear Aaron Judge's name, but I'm just using him as a baseball reference. Walking in to the commissioner's office and shoving a needle in his thigh. Like, you're going to get caught. Just why, man? Why? Smoke some cigarettes for a couple weeks. You can't just not get high with towel in your left ear fucking yelling you want to get high. Want to get high? No. Just, I feel bad. But like, we've all smoked weed, and a lot of it, maybe Jared hasn't, but I sure have. So, and I've stopped because, like, I'm not an asshole. And not that smoking weed makes you an asshole, but like, you're a professional football player, and you know you're going to get kicked out of the league if you do it again. They barely let you in the last time, and now you had a shot. You had a shot on a good team with a good coach and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You were catching footballs. You were a big fantasy name. You were going to make a playoff run. And maybe, you know what? Make it to the NFC Championship, you lose. Make it to the Super Bowl, you win or lose. Doesn't matter. Maybe make that your last run. Then smoke all the weed you want because you got all the money in the world. Go home, buy a new house, sit on your balcony, smoke the bong. You got 3 weeks to just not fuck up. That's my old moment of the week. You're an asshole, Josh Gordon. Now, guess what you get to do? Smoke all the weed you want without a fucking job.
Well, you're upset. And Josh Gordon should be too, because now he gets to watch the playoffs on TV instead of playing.
Yo, you know what Josh Gordon gets to do? He gets to sit home on the couch and watch his team make a playoff run while smoking a bong. Because you're never playing football again. Ever. You're done. It's over.
He might smoke so much that he thinks he's still playing.
He probably will. And you know what? He's still got more money than me, so what am I doing sitting here ripping him apart? Yeah, but now he's going to have to go work at a fucking McDonald's. You know what? Even they drug test.
Well, that makes it all better. Wow. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of your review. Take the P off of that word. Review episode. Sorry, Chase is yelling things over my shoulder. That is the end of your review episode for week 16. We are coming back with week 17. Today is, as of recording time, we're a little late here. I'm just going to give everybody the gist of what's going on. It was obviously a holiday, Monday and Tuesday. I think that was the holiday. Yeah, Monday and Tuesday. Sunday and Monday. I don't know, whatever. Right, I was skiing. Tuesday. I was hanging out with the family. We were all busy. Jared was in Florida. Chase is doing his thing. So we took a couple days off. We recorded a little late. We're recording on Thursday the 27th, and we are going to send a second episode out Friday morning. So you'll get this episode that you're listening to, obviously, when you're listening to it, which will be Thursday night. And then if you're listening to this Friday morning, there will be another episode out for our preview episode for week 17. So just as a little live update of what's going on in the time frame of how we're doing things this week because of the holiday. After that, we're going to have the playoffs coming up. We'll give you updates on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter of when we're sending out new episodes. In case we do some bonus episodes, if anything crazy happens, or if any big signings are going to happen, because there's, for baseball, there's rumors of Manny Machado announcing where he's going to play after the new year. So stuff like that. So keep an eye on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for when new episodes are coming out and are available. And then in case any bonus episodes or little shorts are released. But other than that, as always, you can find us, like I said, for the third time now, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. These episodes that you're listening to currently, wherever you're listening to it, it's available there. And if not, it's available on iTunes, Spotify, Libsyn, Stitcher, and YouTube. So 5 different places you can listen to this. Share this with your friends. Put it out there on your Facebook. Tag us. Like our page. Friend us on Instagram if you want to. Whatever you want to do. We'd love to hear from you. Some feedback, some comments, questions, concerns.
Don't send us any dirty pictures in our inbox.
Yeah, don't send us any booty pictures. My wife doesn't like that. I don't know. Jared's single. You can send him booty pictures, but don't send me and Jay's
Women
booty
only.
Pictures. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. At Jared Talks Loud, send the booty pics. All right. Oh. And this is Call to the Bullpen. Jared, what are we doing?
I believe this is the time where we hang up.
Yep.
Bye.
Click. Oh.
Ooh.